What has simultaneously gotten worse and more expensive? Cable television. More commercials. Channels upon channels of crap. Ridiculous bill. I remember when you could watch a show on cable without any commercials. That was its big selling point. I swear that Reese's peanut butter cups have gotten shittier over the years. The peanut butter seems chalkier and the chocolate tastes blander. Plus I can't ever seem to pry them out of that little cup wrapper without leaving the bottom chocolate skin stuck to it. I think the push to put them in the freezer and eat them chilled is a ploy to cover the declining quality. I just buy the cheap store brands since they use thicker chocolate and better peanut butter. Aldi has some amazing mini peanut butter cups. They blow Reese's out of the water. Buffalo Wild Wings. I don't know if it's just me, but their prices have gone up and the quality has gone down. Restaurants follow this pattern. Mid-high tier national franchise restaurants trends. Panera, Five Guys, Chipotle, Buffalo Wild Wings. It's the place to be. The food's good and priced reasonable. Years pass. Food still good, but slightly more expensive. Years past. Food had degraded noticeably in quality, but because of the established brand they charge the same, if not raise prices slightly. People still go, but begin mumbling. Years pass. Food is a shell of its former self at prices higher than ever before. No one eats there anymore, but they might scrap by, because if they sell one meal they paid rent. This is Panera Bread right now, and this has been their timeline edit. Five Guys is, and always has been, consistent quality. Panera used to be the shit. In college, my friends and I practically feasted on bread bowls. Now I just don't go. Smaller portions. Stale bread. Poorly made soup. Such a shame. Privacy and anonymity. Sadly, that is true. My university education. Specifically this year, they are raising tuition, and fall semester has no in-person sessions. I don't envy college students during this crisis. I would be pissed, especially if I had a major dependent on university facilities, labs, etc. Close bracket. I honestly would highly consider a gap year or two. College kids of Reddit. Are any schools offering a gap year as an option? Colleges don't offer gap years. You just don't register and then come back. You'll probably have to reapply. I can't imagine Hay wouldn't let you back in unless you were basically already failed out. People outside the UK probably won't care, but the Christmas tins of Quality Street. Canadian here. Yes, we do care. When Quality Streets go on clearance after Christmas, I stock up, so I have some last until the following Christmas. Not that they last until then. Firstly, you are my chocolate hero. I doubt I could make them last past late January. Secondly, have the switch to the depressingly small plastic containers in Canada. I want my giant metal tins back. Clothes. Even a sweater from the Gap is like $70 now, even though the quality is about 10% better than Old Navy. Goddammit clothes retailers. Settle down or I will go naked. Edit. To the people suggesting thrift stores. I agree. It's thrilling to find something special and cheap. You wash it, you're good to go. Plus retail clothing is so effing expensive nowadays that I would rather someone else take the hit of driving it off the lot. What I hate about this is all the brand names are super expensive, but they are still all made by slaves in poor countries. I would be willing to pay the higher price if it was actually made in Canada or US, but it's not. American Giant link. American Giant. .com/. Not sure if they ship to Canada, but all of their clothing is made in the US and a lot of the materials for the fabrics are grown there as well. Edit. To everyone who is saying they are expensive. I won't deny they cost more. However, the person I responded to was asking for clothing that was not made in a sweet shop, and I provided a source. Edit. 2. Prison labor. As far as I know, all of their products are manufactured at a place called Eagle Sportswear. If someone finds out differently, I legitimately want to know, so please reply. I remember the donuts at Dunkin' Donuts to be bigger and cheaper, and there was a huge selection of flavors every day when donuts were their main thing. Now, with all of the sandwiches, breakfast foods, shakes, smoothies, etc., donuts are an afterthought. All Cadbury's products. Kraft ruined it. As Kraft does. I'm sure this will get overlooked, but KFC. I remember growing up a whole family could eat there and it was great. Now it's just garbage. Super greasy. And will cost you an arm and a leg for a dang bucket of chicken. They have gotten way worse and the price has went up. Yeah, I remember big styrofoam cylinders stuffed with sides. Now it's $5 for a frozen dinner bowl's worth. I thought it was grown up self-thinking that KFC had changed. Ice cream with fudge in it. Used to get massive slabs of fudge, now they just have tiny nuggets. I can pretty much only stand to buy Ben & Jerry's these days. It ruined other frozen dairy desserts for me. All of the brownies that Ben & Jerry's use come from a bakery that hires ex-convicts and homeless people. They do it to help people get back on their feet. I love that. Photo booths. Oh, the old ones were so cool. 4 different real photos for $1. Now you pay $7 for 4 identical bad laser prints. Just wait until you try to book one for a wedding. $1,500 for an iPad on a stick with a ring light and printer for 4 hours. This is why we bought all the supplies and just made one ourselves. Super easily. Literally bought a backdrop and frame. All the fancy lighting. Props. Tablet stand. Color printer. And even the little clicker thing to press when to take the photo. All of that off of Amazon. For less than 1/3 the price we were quoted to rent one from a company. And now we have a photo booth, lol. We can be that cool couple that can bring a whole photo booth setup anytime we are invited to our friends' weddings, parties, events, etc. New homes. Cookie cutter houses. Built with cheap contractors who cut corners left and right. Situated in neighborhoods with ever higher HOA fees. And the HOAs are getting more expensive too. I agree with this one. I thought buying a newly built home would be great. Turns out everything is cheap. Those nice looking baseboards, particle board, cabinets, particle board, nice front door. It's plastic and warps when the temperature changes. Everything looks nice. But at the core it's all super cheap material that was installed as fast as possible by the cheapest bidder. Yep, I finally found myself in a position to buy a house 2 years ago and figured I'd start by looking at new construction. So I went to a tour of new homes. Well, those 4 hours were enough to convince me I definitely didn't want new build. Everything was built cheaply. And some of them, I was pretty worried about their location, too close on flat land to waterways. So I wound up buying a house built in 1962. It's got some quirks, but it's well built and been well loved by the previous owners. Dry and warm in the winter, well shaded in the summer cause the trees have had decades to grow. Everything Nestle takes over. WATERISNOTRHUMRNRIGHT. Nestle. Don't kid yourself. Nestle isn't in the food business. They're in the packaging business. They buy water in Canada for cents on 1,000 gallons. That's what they're packaging. Those little duck ass water bottles at the stores you walk in. That's what they're selling now. Smarties. Never been right since they got rid of all the artificial colors. Better for you, I'm sure. But chemical blue was the best flavor. Spot the Canadian. But yes, it does taste different. Grocery store ice cream. As long as it's labeled ice cream. Probably worth it, since dairy costs have risen. The cheap brands compensated rising dairy costs by reducing the amount of dairy in the product and is actually listed as frozen dessert or something of that nature instead of actual ice cream. Needs to have a certain percent of cream. Not sure what. Certain house appliances. My grandma has had the same fridge for 40 years. My parents recently had to replace this. It's their third in 20 years. On the other hand, you don't want a 40-year-old fridge because they are super energy inefficient. Good point. Next time I'll visit her, I'll check the wattage. Size of bags of chips. I mean, the bags have gotten bigger, but suddenly they need to sell you more air as well. It's for padding, right? Ice cream containers that were originally 1/2 gallon have been shrinking. They went from 64 ounces to 56 ounces and now 48 ounces. But the price hasn't shrunk. It's been increasing steadily, and the quality often isn't as good as it used to be when containers were a true half gallon. When I worked at a gas station I noticed the same thing with Pringles. The tubes would shrink in height by about 1/8 of an inch every month or so. Once they got small enough they would release a new bigger size for a month with a higher price tag. They would then remove the bigger size tag and begin the shrinking process again. I always thought those were bigger when I was a kid. As someone shopping for a house, I have to say homes. Not only has the real estate market been ridiculously inflated, especially in New York City, my residence, I'm finding that the actual quality of a lot of these homes are absolute shit. Due to the ability to find and source cheap materials and labor, developers are able to make huge profits off high prices and low costs. It's making me really rethink if I want to buy a house or just use all that money to aggressively invest. It's not just New York City or cities in general. I live in a rural town about an hour from the nearest 100k plus city, and home prices are ridiculous compared to local wages. Most of the homes around here are bought cash only, because banks won't even finance them due to the general condition, roofs 20 plus years old, shoddy wiring, etc., without spending a fortune in repairs. For something the banks will look at, with 3 plus bedrooms and 1500 SQFT or so, you're looking at $250k plus, even in the worst parts of town. That's with a median household income in the area under $40k. So yeah, I know it costs a lot in the city, but even in areas that were considered low cost of living not very long ago, the cost isn't so low now. Hey, thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.